The crystal spires of the royal citadel pierced the violet sky, a monument to cold perfection. Within the grand hall, a young princess stood before the assembled court, her head bowed. Her stepmother, the regent, a being of sharp angles and colder light, circled her slowly. "The scans are conclusive," the regent announced, her voice silencing the ambient hum of the chamber. "Her synaptic resonance lacks harmony. Her emotional spectrum is volatile. She does not reflect the serene discipline of our lineage. She is, by the highest standards, defective." The word hung in the air, heavier than stone. The princess, her skin a soft silver, dappled with faint bioluminescent freckles that now dimmed in shame, did not argue. She had felt the wrongness within her all her life, the surge of too keen empathy at a servant's quiet pain, the spark of rebellious curiosity at the rigid protocols, the warmth of a longing for something more than serene, ordered existence. In a civilization that prized logical harmony above all, her heart was a flaw. She was not exiled with fury, but with sterile dispassion. A small automated supply vessel was programmed for a distant, uninhabited sector. No prison cell, no execution. She was simply placed elsewhere, like a misaligned component removed from a perfect machine. The ship, a silent metal coffin, departed without ceremony. The world it deposited her on was a tempest of green and gray, a far cry from the crystalline order of home. The air was thick, smelling of damp soil and growing things. Strange, raucous sounds echoed in the mist. For cycles, she survived on ration bars, sheltering in the lee of her crashed pod, her delicate frame shivering in the humidity. The regent's final words echoed in her mind. Defective. Unwanted. She began to believe them. Her despair was deepest when the scavengers came. They were crude, reptilian things, drawn by the crash signature. They cared nothing for royalty or defects. They saw only salvage and perhaps a curious creature to sell. As they advanced, their guttural clicks promising capture, she backed against the ruined hull, her heart a frantic drum against her ribs. This was the ignoble end universe had decreed for her. The sound was like the sky tearing. A sharp, precise crack, not a roar. One of the scavengers fell. Then another. The rest scattered into the foliage as a figure emerged from the tree line. He was a human. She had seen species profiles in the royal archives. They were noted as chaotic, excessively resilient, and emotionally erratic, a cautionary footnote. This one was tall, clad in practical, worn environmental gear, a long-barreled rifle held with casual certainty. His face was not serene. It was etched with concern, his eyes scanning the area before settling on her. "Hey," he said, his voice a low rumble. "You all right?" She did not understand the words, but the tone was not hostile. He approached slowly, movements careful, and knelt a respectful distance away, placing his weapon on the ground. He pointed to himself. "Leo." Then he gestured to her, a question in his eyes. She managed a whisper of her royal title, the name now feeling like a lie. He simply nodded, as if it were enough. Leo did not take her to a city or a ship. He took her to his outpost, a modular habitat nestled beside a rushing river. It was disorderly, cluttered with data slates, tools, and specimens from the forest. It was nothing like the citadel. It was alive. He was a xenobiologist. He explained through the slow, patient work of a translation program. A watcher of life. He asked her no questions about her past, only about her needs. He offered food not efficient nutrient paste, but broth made from local roots, surprisingly warm and comforting. He showed her how to draw water from the purifier. He gave her a corner of the habitat and a soft woven blanket. At first, she waited for the order, the structure, the assessment of her utility. It never came. Leo simply existed around her. He sang off-key as he repaired his equipment. He expressed frustration when a circuit shorted, and delight when a new type of moss fruited. He talked to the small, furry creatures that sometimes ventured near, his voice soft. He was a symphony of feelings, openly played, without shame. One evening, as the planet's twin moons rose, she found herself trembling, a storm of confusion and grief she could no longer contain. The translation device lay silent. She just hugged her arms, the luminescent freckles on her skin fluttering chaotically. Leo did not speak. He picked up a small, stringed instrument from a shelf. He began to play. The melody was simple, plaintive, weaving through the air like a tangible thing. It did not demand serenity. It spoke of loneliness, of long journeys, and of a faint, persistent hope. It gave form to the tempest inside her. For the first time, she did not feel defective for feeling it. She felt. Heard Dot, she began to help him, learning to catalog samples. Her innate attention to detail, once a fault for noticing the wrong things, proving invaluable. She saw how he valued every scraggly plant, every odd insect, not for its perfection, but for its unique place in the whole. The concept was revolutionary to her. One day, she accidentally shattered a culture case containing a delicate fungal colony. She froze, awaiting reproach. Her stepmother's disdain would have been a silent, piercing chill. Leo just blinked. "Happens to the best of us," he said, already fetching a brush and pan. "The mycelium network is probably still intact in the substrate. Might even encourage a new growth pattern. Let's see." His curiosity was immediate, forward-looking, utterly devoid of blame. In that moment, the last shard of the Regent's branding shattered within her. Weeks later, the royal ship came. It descended from the clouds, a silent shard of polished perfection, a stark contrast to the vibrant, messy life of the outpost. The Regent herself emerged, flanked by two impassive guards. Her gaze swept over the habitat with barely concealed distaste before landing on the princess. "You have been located?" the Regent stated. "The period of reflection is concluded. You will return. The court's physiologists believe they can now mitigate your instability." The princess felt the old fear, the cold weight of expectation. But then she felt the solid, warm presence of Leo step beside her, not in front, but alongside. He said nothing, his hands loose at his sides. The princess looked from her stepmother's flawless, impassive face to Leo's weathered, kind, and full of a trusting concern for her, not about her. She thought of harmony not as the absence of discord, but as the beautiful, complex symphony a forest makes, full of cries, rustles, and quiet growth. Her emotions were not instability. They were her compass, her strength. "No," she said. The word was quiet, but absolute. It was the first true command she had ever given. The Regent's composure flickered. "You are royalty. You have a duty to our perfect order." "Your order is empty," the princess replied, her voice growing stronger. "It does not sing. It does not grow. It only polishes itself in the dark. You called me defective for feeling the universe as it is, not as you decree it to be. I reject your diagnosis." She turned slightly towards Leo. "This human found me abandoned." He did not see a defect. He saw a person. He offered shelter without demand, kindness without transaction, and music, for no reason at all. His people do not hide from their hearts. They build with them. That is not defect. That is humanity. She said the last word not as a species name, but as a principle. A better way to be. The Regent stared, unable to process the refusal. The guards, programmed for retrieval, took a step forward. Leo moved then, just a slight shift of his weight, his calm, observant gaze meeting theirs. He was one man against royal guards, yet in his stillness was a promise of breathtaking, chaotic resilience. He would defend this place, this life, her choice. The guards halted, uncertain. The regent, seeing not a broken tool, but a sovereign will forged in an alien wilderness, understood. The princess was beyond her grasp. Not broken, but remade. You choose this chaos? She finally asked, her voice thin. I choose life. The princess answered. Without another word, the regent turned and re-entered her ship. The vessel rose, a silent, shrinking shard, until it was gone from the sky. Silence returned, filled with the river's rush and the distant call of a forest creature. Leo let out a long, slow breath. You okay? He asked. The princess looked around at the messy, vibrant outpost, at the human who had saved her, not with a blast of power, but with a bowl of broth and a song. Her freckles glowed in a steady, warm pattern. Yes, she said, and it was the truth. For the first time, she was not defective. She was free. She was home.